Bismillahi wassalamu ala Rasulillah. This winter break, I have a fun project to make for a craft competition at my school. The only requirement for this project is to do it with my parents. I wanted to make a plane and my parents wanted it to be battery operated. First, we are going to browse the internet to find a sample plane to use as a model. This is the plane we all liked. It is called Rare Bear. Now I will sketch the different pieces of the plane on the drawing paper. It is essential to learn to not stain the paper with grease while eating these delicious samosas. Here's the drawing of the body, the wings, and the tail. Now I am going to cut the paper following the drawing lines. These templates will help me trace the cutting marks on the wood.
We will use this popular project wood plank for the wings, tail plane, and fins. Using the paper templates, we will draw the cutting marks on the wood.
Here's the drawing of all the pieces that we will be cutting out from the wood plank.
I will take care of cutting the wood. From the 1/4 inch plank, we have cut out the wings, body center lining, the fin, and the tail plane. Now from the pine wood pieces, I will cut the top and bottom of fuselage. Cutting is mostly done. Now let's see how everything fits together and make the necessary joints. Be careful using these power tools. Always use safety goggles and have the children stand at a safe distance to watch.
It may not be fun for the children to just be watching. However, they will learn by observation, and we want them to be involved in all major steps of this project.
A really important piece in this project is the motor compartment. I will measure with the precision tools to make an exact fit for the motor, so that motor is not loose inside, otherwise it will be shaking. This is a perfect job for a router. I do not have any guides or jigs for this job, so I have to be very careful to cut on the exact lines. You can get really nice smooth finishing if you know how to use the router. Now looks like it has the correct depth. Let's see if the motor will fit. Great, it fits nicely. You can see that I have left a little room which is actually for the wires. Let's make the electric circuit. To get the concept clear, I have divided this step into 3 parts. First, we make the circuit diagram on paper showing the motor and the LED connected in a parallel circuit. Then what we will do is test this circuit on a snap circuits board. Snap circuits uses standard electrical symbols, which makes it very useful to teach basic concepts to a child. Details of how to make this circuit is in another video on our channel. Third, we will make the actual circuit using the raw components.
We will need a motor, an LED, 100 ohms resistor, a switch, a battery holder, couple of batteries, and a few wires.
Please click on the video link or visit the channel to see the full video.
We can see the circuit working as designed. Now let's put the wiring inside the plane. We have already made a hole for the battery compartment. First, I will put in the battery holder and the wires. Now I will screw the battery holder in the body.
Once all the cutting and holes are complete, we will put in the wiring. We will also solder the resistor to the wires right now. We will use a glue pen to hold the wires in place. Basically, everything that needs to be hidden inside the body needs to go in now. And the pieces that will be outside will be soldered in at the end. For example, the LED, the motor, and the switch, which goes in last. It is important to test the circuit one last time.
Motor, check. LED, check. Once we glue the wood together, we will not be able to fix it. Everything is glued and clamped nicely. We will leave it overnight. See you tomorrow. While breakfast is getting ready, let me open the clamps and see how everything is glued together. Okay, this last one is very hard to open. Let me use both hands. Okay, turned out to be really nicely glued.
Now before we move to the next step, what I'm going to do is tuck all the wiring inside the groove so the wires do not get damaged.
Okay, all tucked in. Let's move on.
In this step, we will be carving and sanding to make a smooth shape of a plane. There will be many hours of sanding with several different tools. First, we are going to make a nice curve to the back of the plane. For that, we used a multi-tool to cut out the extra wood piece on the back. After that, we use a sander to smooth the curves. This is the initial shape that we have carved out.
Now we will smooth the edges before we put the motor compartment. My father will use some of his favorite tools for this job.
After starting with the router, which was the obvious first choice, I realized that we need some manual job. So I'm going to use the rotary tool with carving bits to make a proper shape.
After many hours of sanding, we have a nice and smooth touch to the plane. All edges are rounded and the surface is very smooth.
For those who are curious, I will take a minute to show what tools I used. This is an orbit sander. It works great on plane surfaces as well as round corners. For the inner corners, I used the multi-tool with triangular sanding pad. This is called a rotary tool, and I used solid tungsten carbide carving bits. One of the necessary tools is the palm router, which we used to make the motor compartment. Taking a closer look will show you how smooth and accurate shapes can be made with this tool. If you see, there are 3 levels of holes that I have made. The outer one is not very smooth since I did not have a jig for it, but the 2 other holes are really nicely made. The motor fits nicely in there and we will use a fender washer to close the compartment.
A problem that I can see now is that the washer is a bit small and too thick. That just adds an extra step to this job, but it will be a fun step for my daughter, so I will let her hammer along.
Once the plate is of the right size, I will drill 2 holes for the screws. You can see that the motor compartment is ready. The plate fits perfectly with the motor in the center.
We have made 2 holes that go through the wood for the screws, and 1 hole for the wiring. On the back, I will show you a trick that I used to fix the nuts inside so they do not move or loosen up. I have previously cut 2 small pieces from barbecue sticks, which are going to be glued inside and which will hold the nuts in place. What I am going to do is push the nuts inside, then glue the sticks inside the holes and glue the whole compartment to the body.
Once again, I will clamp it and leave it overnight to dry. Then glue the front piece to the body and again leave it overnight to dry up.
Next, we will glue in the last piece, which is the fin that goes on the tail. For that, I will use the router to make a slot with exact size of the fin. You can see that I have clamped the plane and the guides to the table to make a precision cut. Now that all the power tools work is complete, which my daughter was only allowed to observe from a distance, she can once again be hands-on from this point onward.
Let's unclamp and see the result of last night's hard work. The front glued nicely to the body and it looks good. Let's make the propellers and the axles for the tires next. The last pieces to be glued.
Here, everything is ready.
To finish the wood, we have many choices, but we decided to go with the tung oil, which is one of the difficult ones in terms of time and patience it takes. We will cover the wood with a generous layer of oil, leave it for an hour for the wood to drink, and then wipe off all excessive oil and leave it for 12 hours or more to dry up. Next morning, we will sand it with a 600 grit wet and dry sandpaper and oil it again. The way I do it is I dip the sandpaper in the oil so the sanding and oil coating is done at the same time.
It really looks beautiful when it's freshly coated before I wipe off the excessive oil.
This is going to be quick and easy. First, we will solder the switch and the LED, then the motor. We will put the motor inside the compartment and close it with the plate and the screws.
All the pieces are joined and the circuit is complete.
Now that all pieces are joined, let's do a quick quality control check. We are going to observe the plane and test the circuit before putting the propeller. I hear the motor running, and at the back we can see the LED is on.
It is as simple as placing the propeller on the motor axle and pressing it inwards. Let's do another check. Turning on the switch, the propeller is working, and the rear light is also on.
The last piece is the cockpit canopy. To me, a Sprite bottle was the easiest option. I will cut a rounded piece from the bottle. I have also prepared a mold from a wooden piece in the shape of the canopy. Now I will hold the plastic firmly on the mold and use the heat gun to mold the plastic into the desired shape. Here is how the canopy turned out to be. This is the final photo. Here you can see that I have used 3 tires from a Lego set to put on our plane.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our channel. Please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened until the fasten seatbelt signs have been switched off. Please stand by for important announcements. Your attention, please. All viewers are requested to click the like button immediately. This is the last call. Please proceed to share and subscribe before your departure. Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has turned off the fasten seatbelt sign. Thank you for watching this video. We wish you a safe and pleasant onward journey. It has been a pleasure having you on board, and we look forward to welcoming you back again very soon.